with the early versions of humans, what we did was introduce humans to energy and vibration in the sound. And they learned how to manifest directly, to work with the forces of nature. And it was easy. It was simple. And many individuals who've had incarnations in those very early cycles, they kind of remember this and they, ooh, high consciousness. It was not. It was the beginning of the incarnation of the human life form, and I'll explain this to you. So it was a protected bubble where humans have had access to a level of consciousness that the life form did not belong to. So when they were shown how to use sound, vibration, and energy, whatever we want to call it, they did. And that was the level of incarnation. So they didn't really do a lot or invent a lot. They did not develop technology. So that was kind of the first wave of humans. Now, the first civilization, when that happened, what we did was lower the connection to nature, lower the access. And by then, the memories of how to work directly with energy and consciousness was gone. This is why it's important that different cycles. So, to make things work, they had to start making things. But they were still in a state where they understood sound and vibration and energy and consciousness, were able to work with it and also to manifest. And it was simply part of the human journey. That was basically the next step downwards, right? So with that first step, human ingenuity grew. They were more interested in making things and moving matter, because the first early humans, they did not. And what they will figure out was that the early humans were as intelligent as we are, but they didn't do anything with it. They could have, because they existed for thousands and thousands of years. But they really didn't do anything with it because they didn't have to. So with the next wave, the disconnect from nature had started, and we did not kind of allow humans to have the knowledge fully, but enough to still work in that realm. And then one started to make also simple technologies that could enhance vibration and the connection between consciousness and matter. So that was the first wave. And the second civilization, that happened even more. So then, because of the disconnection from nature was enhanced, we got to that interesting point where humans had enough access still to understanding how nature works and energies and consciousness, all of that. And they were more interested in manipulating matter and building and creating. But still, a lot of the technology would be about enhancing our kind of mind powers and flow and energy to make things happen that way. And of course, part of the incarnation is the level of corruption. So it still did not incarnate enough. Because part of incarnation is fractalization, right? Whenever we don't get something, we have to incarnate further, which means we have to go deeper into matter. And it also means disconnecting from the bigger picture. So the second civilization was the one before the current one. So they were still in that state where they had more technology, but not a lot. And they didn't do enough with it because they didn't understand. Having access to a space of consciousness and energy does not necessarily mean that you understand, that you have the consciousness within to fully comprehend where you are and how things work. So with that civilization folding, these are basically incarnations of civilizations on the planet. And this current wave is considered to be the third civilization and the fourth wave. Now, and in this, the disconnection is complete. And because humans have disconnected so much from nature and has not been allowed to even have the collective memories of how to work with energies, they have to make everything from scratch. And that's the whole point. In our spiritual journeys, we have to come to the point where we make things from scratch because it's the only way we can prove that we understand them. So, because humans don't understand anything about how nature works on a higher level, they have to make technology and devices and things and all of that because humans are not able to move matter directly. They cannot create forms through thought, right? Yes, we can take courses where we'll learn how to do, but I'm talking concretely, right? You cannot think of a cup and all of a sudden it's there. Like in the old days, they could. So it's that. So humans will have to work with matter directly and manipulating matter by moving it and interacting with it. And then build knowledge, build science to get a deeper understanding, because science is also part of the spiritual journey. When you live in a civilization where everything works and you can just basically project or focus on energy and things happen, you're not necessarily interested in going any deeper than that. So incarnating the human life form has been a very long process. And yes, when we look back in history, one can say they could do amazing things. The consciousness was still lower, although from our perspective, it can seem higher because they could manipulate time, space, and matter in ways humans can't today. But their level of true understanding was lower. So it was both higher and lower at the same time. But with this wave, it's about fully incarnating the human and human learning to make things from scratch. And it's the same like when you look at baking, right? You start by, as a child, you sit there and watch one of your parents bake. And then you're allowed to, get some frosting on your finger and you put that on the cookie and your parents say, ooh, you're baking, you're so good. That was basically the first wave, right? And you think you're an excellent baker because it tastes good and everyone depended on you, right? That's what you're told. And then, you can start by participating a little bit. And then you buy Betty Crocker, right? You buy these pre-mixed stuff and you can do that and you can get an okay result. And it's better than you could do on your own because all you know what you do is putting something in a bowl and adding an egg and water and it's not baking. That was basically the previous civilization. This one, we're doing it from scratch. And this is why in this civilization, humans have never been exposed to more potential of spiritual mastery than right here, because you have to make things from scratch to master them, right? You have to be able to just work with what's there and understand exactly how to apply laws of nature in the most basic way. The best bakers will always start with the ingredients and will know exactly where they're from, the quality like, because he knows that the end result will depend on it. Each step he has mastered. It's that. And that is this civilization. And right now it's a situation where it looks like we're going to burn the cookies. But, it's part of learning how to bake. Spiritually, many individuals who are part of this cycle, they've been part of the earlier cycles as well. This is why many of you have memories of this. And if you're like, why is this not working now? Why can't we just like energy and move things and, like little sound here and should work and it doesn't anymore? And it's like, why? This should be evolution. We should be better at this, not worse. But this is why, right? Because when you use Betty Crocker, it means someone else did the premix for you. And that's why it works. And you think it's all you. It's not. Mastery means you're doing it all by yourself. And if you don't get any result. And this is the wonderful, wonderful thing about this current civilization, right? This is also why we are all in the background. I'm here, but I'm kind of still in the background. Because humans need to go through their journey. They need to now be allowed to burn the cookies. They need to be allowed to figure things out and learn that, oh, right, I should pay more attention to the ingredients. I need to learn more. And also, when you get into it, you want to, you go to the farmer's market and you buy eggs, you get into it, right? Instead of just, I want cake. You become interested in the whole process. And this is the journey of humans at this point. So we basically have to stay away. But we're still there. We're still seeing all the exploration experiments. And also, when you fall flat on your faces, it's just part of the project. It's part of how you, over time, gain mastery. Many of you were part of the earlier cycles. And you had not fully incarnated into the human. Just like you were not a skilled baker yet. This is a civilization where you spiritually can become skilled. You can achieve mastery in many fields, but it doesn't look like it, right? Because it's not easy anymore. It was easier, but it was not mastery. It was self-deceit. So learning also as humans and as spiritual beings that being here in this wave of civilization means that we learn to do things from scratch. This is why do not fake your spirituality. Do not fake your practices. Do not fake your intention. Do not fake truth. Many of you do it because you're used to Betty Crocker. And you think that's I got away with it, last time, so no. Now you have to do it from scratch. No one in a higher spiritual consciousness will be fooled. And you will figure it out because everything you bake, you have to eat. And you're not always aware of that. If you burn the cookies, you got to eat them. It's how you learn. So when we fake, and we try to fake truth, spirituality, higher consciousness, because we want confirmation, you're burning the cookies. And it's fine, it's part of the learning process, but it's not necessary. We have to focus on learning to do things from scratch, to be thorough, to be precise, to have mastery as a goal. And this is also why it's so easy to be fooled by the state of the human life form, where the state of disconnection from nature is at its highest or lowest, depending on how you see it. But it's because you're not getting any help. You have to learn to do it by yourself. And you say, well, there's no flower. Well, get it yourself. And seeing the enormous spiritual potential in life forcing us to do everything from scratch if we want it to be authentic. This is why when we're faking, when we're trying to fit in, when we're copying, and it seems like we're surviving, and everybody agrees, on the same illusions and the same level of fakery, that becomes authentic. But inside, when you begin the process of listening, you can begin to connect to what's authentic in you. You will know.